Hello, I'm Barbara Wood, founder of The Property Finders, independent buyer's agent specializing in Spain. You're listening to Spain Property Insights, audio briefings for anyone with an interest in Spain's property market. I wonder how many overseas buyers in Spain realize they may be paying a premium of 50, 60 or even 80% simply because a property is new. Most people do expect new builds to cost more. The real question is, how much more? Is it a standard amount? And if it isn't, how much is too much? Having taken a long look at the latest data, I believe new build premiums in the Spanish property market are at record levels. One of the most persistent trends I've observed over the last 20 years is the attraction many overseas buyers have for new build property, even when the location is inferior and the property smaller. The fact is there's not much raw building land available in the very best locations, particularly in the Mediterranean hotspots that appeal to overseas buyers. It was built on years ago. So it follows that much of today's new build activity is not in the most prime locations. That's why high-quality recent renovations have become the best route to getting a property with contemporary style in a great spot. In addition, plots and constructed square meters are being squeezed to the extent that some new villas are so close together on very small plots, I struggle to describe them as detached. In the case of apartment complexes, green spaces and communal areas have shrunk, and a typical two-bedroom, two-bathroom apartment of 85 square meters would have been at least 120, even as much as 150 square meters in the 1990s. Until recently, we didn't have the data to know what the new build premium was, if indeed there was one. It was all guesswork, and my best guess would have been in the region of 10 to 15%, which I think is considered normal in a stable market. That seems fair for a newer product with up-to-date fittings, 10-year guarantees, and, if purchased during construction, perhaps the option to customize. However, we now know it's currently a lot more than that in Spain, thanks to the notaries improving their reporting of property market statistics, with data for prices per square meter separated into national, regional, provincial and municipal levels, with new and resale properties further divided into houses and apartments. My research suggests the new build premium in the current market could be seen as somewhat excessive. Is buying a new build property in Spain in the current market a bit like buying a new car, which loses about 20% of its value as soon as it leaves the showroom? The 2025 statistics show that across the whole Spanish market, resales accounted for 92% of transactions and new build 8%. That's a very different scenario to the building boom days when the new build sector accounted for as much as 40% of the market. One reason for this could be that new build properties, both apartments and houses, are currently very scarce, but having scrutinized the figures, I'm starting to consider another reason. Is it now just too expensive? What the new notarial data reveals is startling. My dive into the statistics showed that nationally, the overall new build premium is 50%, but when categorized by type, it falls to 35% in the case of apartments, and then rises to an astonishing 80% for houses. For an analysis at the regional level, I chose Andalusia because it accounts for 20% of all property transactions in the country. Here we find the overall new build premium is 61%, 49% for apartments and 69% in the case of houses. Malaga province, which is the engine of the Andalusia property market with 25% market share, has a new build premium of 33% overall, dipping to 30% in respect of apartments and going up to 32% for houses. And finally, at the municipal level, I looked at Marbella, where the new build share of the market is 7%, slightly below the national average. Here, buyers are paying 25% more for a new build property overall, 23% if it's an apartment, and 30% more for a new house. Considering the premiums I've described, I think it has to be considered likely that those buying a new build property in the current market are paying such inflated prices they may never see a return on their investment, no matter how long they hold it. I would like to see a market in which new build premiums return to a more reasonable level. Otherwise, I fear owners are facing depreciation in the value of their new build, which of course becomes a resale in its next life. The fact that they paid a highly inflated price when it was new won't be of the slightest interest to a buyer. It will have to find its level in the resale market. Finally, the very latest statistics show prices rising in the first quarter of 2026 at the fastest rate since 2007. And it's interesting to see resale prices rising more than new builds, 13.5% against 9.5%. Is this the first sign of buyer resistance chipping away at the new build premium? You've been listening to Spain Property Insights from the Property Finders. For more market analysis, buyer guidance, blogs and podcasts about buying property in Spain, visit our website at www.thepropertyfinders.com. Thanks for listening.